So I had the crazy idea to draw a manga in 24 hours, and you can do it too by following along with these 5 easy steps. The first thing we need to do is come up with a basic idea for our story. I like to call these one-sentence concepts. The idea is you spitball ideas until you find one you like. So let's see what we can come up with. The first one I have is old man and a young boy swap bodies, chef hat that lets you cook a 5-star meal, and backpack with infinite storage for your school supplies. If you are asking yourself why I chose these specific ideas, it's because the manga I will be drawing is based on an old webtoon I made as a kid. That story is basically like Rick and Morty mixed with Doraemon. I think the idea I want to go with is chef hat that lets you cook a 5-star meal. Now that we have our concept, we can begin developing the idea in our head into an actual manga. For my manga's target demographic, we have a few to choose from: shonen, seinen, shoujo, josei, kodomo, seijin, redisu, and gekiga. I think I will stay in the shonen category, or young boys between the ages of 12 and 18, because, well, it is also the most popular demographic worldwide for manga. Next comes the inspiration stage. This is where we will find series that we want to use as our basis to identify our artistic identity and writing style. In terms of storytelling, I've really been into lighthearted stories like Dr. Slump, Yokai Watch, and like I mentioned earlier, Doraemon. For art inspiration, I really like manga that has a lot of contrast and shiny highlights. You know, things like To Love Ru, Me and Roboco, and My Hero Academia. With that, I think we are finally done with the brainstorming stage. Pat yourself on the back because now we are on our way to completing our manga. The next phase is where we will begin scripting or outlining our story. A script is basically your blueprint for your manga. It describes exactly what's going to happen or be said. I personally prefer to outline my work or give a general idea of what happens on each page because I'm a visual person. I like to make a lot of decisions during the storyboarding stage where I can actually see what my manga is going to look like. Play around with both methods and see which one works best for you. To begin my outline, I will use a Japanese storytelling structure known as Kishutsunketsu. Plot structures can help you organize your thoughts so you can give your reader a complete experience. Ki is the introduction, where you present the setting, characters, and important components of your story. Sho is the development, where you advance the narrative, the events of your story begin to unfold, and the setting and action are set into motion. Ten is the twist, and it's the direction the plot changes and presents the story in a new light. Ketsu is your conclusion, the end of the story. So for my story structure, here's what I came up with. Ki: a boy obtains a mysterious hat that allows him to cook food like a Michelin star chef. He plans to use his new power to impress his friends and childhood crush. Sho: the boy prepares a mountain of delicious looking food effortlessly. 10. Everyone is impressed by the boy's cooking until they take a bite of it and realize that the food tastes awful. It seems like the hack can only help you make your food look delicious, and it will only taste delicious if you put your heart and soul into it. Ketsu: the boy, now distraught, serves his friends leftovers he made the other night so they can enjoy a meal together. Honestly, I really like the direction this story ended up taking. It feels very wholesome. I can't wait to see how it turns out visually at the end, so make sure you stick around to see. Now that we know how our story will go, let's break it up into pages for our manga. Page 1. The boy wearing a chef hat can be seen in the kitchen preparing delicious food for his friends. He has a smug expression on his face, knowing his crush will be impressed with his meal. The kids take a bite and are disgusted by the flavor of the food. Page 2. In a panic, the boy grabs leftovers from the refrigerator to serve to his guests. The guests happily eat the meal that was prepared with love. Notice how I didn't describe the shape of the panels or the size of the panels in my outline. This is because I prefer to figure this out when I'm drawing the actual pages. With that being said, I think now is the perfect time to work on the visuals. Now let's start designing our characters. One of the most important things to remember when designing characters is shape language and character silhouette. You want each of your characters to feel distinct from each other. For the protagonists in my story, I want them to feel welcoming and friendly, so I will use rounder shapes for their body construction. If you want the opposite effect, maybe try using sharper, more rigid lines to convey danger or edginess. Play around with different body types, facial features, and proportions to give your characters more personality. Give them an iconic look that your readers will immediately recognize. Now that we have a few sketches for the characters, we can begin to draw the actual manga pages. For panel layouts, I highly recommend studying the works of other artists you like. If you are lazy, you could also purchase one of my Manga Maker panel templates. For the first page, I settled on this 4-page layout. I wanted to highlight my main character's character design, so I had them break out of the panel. This is called the panel bleed. The bottom 2 panels were meant to showcase the characters eating their food and having a negative reaction to it. I'm still not sure if I want these specific characters to appear, but we can always adjust that later. In page 2, I decided to go with this 4-page panel layout. I wanted to show the aftermath of eating the food and the resolution to the story. For this page, I was mostly concerned about the dynamic panel angles to really over-exaggerate this comedic scene. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to keep your drawings loose during the storyboard phase. More than likely, you will need to make adjustments to your page during the making of the final product. If you are working with an editor, you may also be asked to redraw or completely redo pages, panels, and dialogue. The looser you are with your storyboard, the better. During the inking of page 1, I noticed that both of my pages had 4 panels. To create variety, I scrapped the top horizontal panel in page 1. It felt redundant and did not add much to the context of the story. This change allowed me to make the center panel larger. I think this really helped highlight the main character's outfit, expression, and actions. A big change that I made was moving the reaction scene to page 2. I did this because I wanted to build up to the big twist. If I kept it in page 1, it felt like I spoiled the joke. I'm very happy with how the goofy expressions turned out. I do think the story could have benefited from more pages though, but for the purposes of this video, I think it does what it's meant to do. Here is a better look at the final product. I think it turned out really good. Were you able to follow along and create a manga yourself? If so, post it online and tag me. I'd love to see it. Remember, you don't need to be an amazing artist or a great writer to make a manga. Just have fun and share your stories with the world. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Remember, you can further support me by following me on all of my social media accounts. And as always, keep creating, everybody. I will see you all in the next one.